Well, thank you all for coming. It's remarkable how much we can get done when the Senate and the House and the governor all talk to each other and are focused in going the same direction, which I think has been evidenced by how far both the Senate and the House have come along. And we've gotten some good things passed just today, some things that we promised our constituents we would do. And you'll see more of that to come. And with that, we'll take some questions.
So the capital gains tax cut is highlighted by the governor in his State of the State. What's the likelihood of other tax cut bills getting to his desk, getting to his chamber? Is that this for this year?
The capital gains? Oh, no, that would be a permanent tax cut.
Well, I know, but is that the tax cut bill for this?
Oh, well, Rudy, you've been at this as long as anybody else has. It's hard to say in February what's going to end up happening in May and then what ultimately a governor ends up signing. I'm excited that we've gotten this far this soon. I know there are other tax bills that are out there regarding corporate income tax and regarding general income tax, personal property, real estate. We'll take a look at those as those come along. I think that George Haruza, who's been such a champion on this, will agree that this is a very unfair tax and that it's very good for the economy that we've gotten this far with it. I know the Senate also views it as a priority. To be able to foretell the future and know what ends up happening by the middle of May, Chris Brown's been here a long time. It's impossible, isn't it? Just impossible to tell you what will happen in 90 days from now.
So you mentioned fairness. Why is it fair that the stock options of a CEO would be taxed at a lower rate than the salary of their administrative assistant?
Oh, Rudy, there you go again. I mean, come on now. The majority of capital gains, and we all know this, have to do with by and large, mom and pop small businesses all across the state that these folks have worked their entire life to build, have counted on that to be their retirement. And that's who this is geared toward, isn't it? And it's also geared toward those small family farmers, those folks that have maybe worked hard to invest in homes. And these are blue-collar jobs, these folks that buy homes and they flip them and they try to make a living at it. Everybody wants to single out one or two wealthy folks. And the fact is, the overwhelming majority of folks that take advantage of this will be hardworking Missourians that work every day to just try to get ahead. And to answer your question regarding the specifics of that, now obviously, you have regular income that's taxed separately. But, I say this when I talk to folks who are in the unions. The deal that you work out between you and your employer is between you and your employer. I don't know why the government has to be involved in every minute detail, but I'll let Dr. Haruza talk on this because I'm telling you, this guy knows his stuff on this topic.
Well, thank you so much. I think you mentioned stock options of CEOs. Those actually, almost all of those are taxed as ordinary income currently, and the federal government is looking at doing away with the carried interest issue where that is currently considered capital gains. So that will be hopefully taken care of. That part will be taken care of by the federal government. The whole concept of capital gains tax elimination is so that we can grow the economy, so we can get those high-paying jobs to Missouri, and businesses can reinvest. It reduces the friction in the system, so that we can actually be more productive. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Appreciate the question. Thank you. We had a number of other good bills passed today. Coach Brown, I call him Coach Brown because he coached high school football in the Kansas City area forever. Coach Brown had a great bill that was good for business in Kansas City. Kathy Jo Loy out of Joplin had a remarkable bill about religious liberty, and thank you for championing that. And of course, we had a bill that almost got 100%, and I mean almost got 100%, that Melissa Schmidt did. First bill out of the House was good for kids. We had some good wins today.
I'll ask a question of Representative Schmidt. With that legislation that got so much attention last year, when did you first hear about that issue happening with foster children, and what was your initial impression when you found out that was happening?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I actually, heard about that previously from my predecessor who was working on that same issue. But prior to that, I was not aware. And frankly, I was shocked that it was something that we were doing with those pension dollars.
I'm glad to see that bill get out
So
of the
happy
House
to see
this
that
early.
passed. Yes, yes. I was glad that it was Speaker's priority and that we were able to get that passed out of the House. We have a responsibility to be good stewards to our foster children and to their finances.
Sorry, I'm not 100% familiar with the details of the bill. Any chance of clawing back some of the money to get that into the accounts of those children now? The money that's been used previously?
We haven't had that discussion. What I have been doing is working on with the department to get a good plan in place so that we can get it implemented as quickly as possible. The state of Arizona has a really good plan in place, and Missouri is looking to their plan. But that's a valid question.
Are there protections in there so that the money actually goes to the foster kids? And let me give you an example, and forgive me because I don't know all
Sure.
the details of the bill as well, but, and I'm not saying this is a widespread problem, but if you've got a foster parent who decides to use the money on alcohol and drugs,
Sure.
how do we know that that money is going to go?
So the way this legislation reads and the way the department is working is that these funds that were pension dollars from a deceased parent, a veteran, or someone who worked for the railroad possibly, or SSI benefits, those pension dollars are earmarked for that child and set in a separate account. So when that child turns 18, those pension dollars are accessible for them to use for education, transportation, housing. They're putting an advocate in place at age 17 to help them navigate and make good decisions with those funds too. I'm not sure we want to hand an 18-year-old a huge lump without some guidance, but that's the whole point, is that we are trying to protect these dollars so that they can be used when kids exit out of care to help them make that transition. Thank you. Thank you for that question.
Is the state still intercepting those dollars, or has it started to alter some of those practices in light of the attention this issue has gotten?
Currently, I believe we're still intercepting, but we're working. They're working diligently. They recognize that this is not best practice. They want to implement these changes. Thank you.
Good question. I'll tell you, for those that you don't know it, if you want to know where every dime is, Rudy knows. This guy knows. He knows as well as the budget chairman where every dime is, and I appreciate that. So,
What are you working on next week?
next week, as you see, we're getting a number of bills, noticed up that are we're really rolling, right? We've got rules committees that are working, so we're getting a number of bills that are coming forward, and I expect for us to work Monday evening. I don't know that there's been a determination yet on exactly what will come, but I would have no doubt that Monday evening we might end up working fairly late. So.
Speaker Pro Tem, I had a question for you too about a bill that you presented in committee this week, and I don't remember all the provisions in it, but it had to do with the shackling of pregnant women, et cetera. Several issues we've heard a lot about in recent years. Why did you want to carry that bill, and are you glad to see it moving this early?
I'm incredibly pleased to see it moving this early. There's a number of provisions in it, Mike, like you said, including the shackling of pregnant women in the third trimester. I believe that's an issue that gets good support on both sides. How many times is it you've seen the Missouri Right to Life and the NAACP and the Missouri Right to Life and the ACLU be on the same page? Here's an issue where you do, right? As it pertains to the shackling of pregnant women, for me, it's a pro-life issue. Also in that bill, there's the provision about SNAP benefits regarding nonviolent drug offenders. People are shocked when they find out in the state of Missouri, if you've been convicted of murder or of some child sex offense and you get out of prison, you get your SNAP benefits back. You don't get them back if you've been convicted of a nonviolent drug offense. Now, I'm not defending nonviolent drug offenders, but I'm saying if we allow murderers to do it, and you don't allow nonviolent drug offenders to do it, and this is not a long-term handout, right? We're talking about a short-term SNAP benefit for when someone gets out of prison, the ability to get back up on their feet. It's legislation that's good for Missourians who've had a little harder life than some of us have lived, and I think it's a good piece of legislation that I expect to get bipartisan support on. Yeah. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you. Thank you.